Hey, it's getting dark, but I wanted to show you my gigantic chrysanthemums. These things are humongous. Look at these. I got these at Costco for $16.99 each. They are huge. Look how big they are. Look at this, my hand. Look at that. God. And I have two of them. Woohoo! Okay, we got to go to Walmart and get some dark chocolate. Now you might be wondering what in the world I need dark chocolate for. It's not for me. I don't like dark chocolate. I figure if you're gonna eat chocolate, you got to go with milk chocolate, because dark chocolate just tastes like a mistake. It's like I wanted to eat the bark off a pine tree. Why would I eat that? No, it's not for me. My son, my younger son, just told me that one of his teachers broke her leg. I don't know how I said, how did she do that? He said, I don't know. She didn't say, and felt like it was kind of nosy to ask. So anyway, he said somebody in the class asked her if there was anything she would like to have, and she said she would love some dark chocolate. And I figure anybody that's broken their leg deserves some chocolate if they want some. So I'm going to go get her some chocolate. I wasn't planning on going anywhere, but here I am. Anyway, so that's where I'm going. Figured I'd take you along with me, at least on the ride. You know, it's getting dark, man. Days are getting shorter. It's starting to become noticeable. I know that when my alarm goes off now, it's not completely dark outside. It's like the damn sun's coming up behind me. Freaking LED lights, man. I can't stand those damn things. There is no need for anybody's headlights to be that blind, to be that bright that you could see them from space. No need for that shit. I think it should be illegal. I don't think your lights should be allowed to be that damn bright. It's not necessary. Sweet Lord, I hate driving after dark because of shit like that. Anyway, I hate LED lights. And hey, in a few months, I'm going to get Glenda the Good Witch to do some body work on my car, and one of the things he's going to do is take the headlight assemblies out, clean them, buff them up, and put new lights in. And he said, yeah, just don't get the LEDs. I said, don't worry, I will not get LEDs. He said, you get the lights, I'll take care of everything else. Just get the ones you want. Just make sure they're not LEDs, if that's what you know, he said, because he hates them too. We talk about it all the time, about how awful they are. Please don't turn. Just go straight. Go blind somebody else. Give me a break. It's been a hell of a day. Thank you. They're gone. I had the craziest day at work, y'all. Okay, so I was off yesterday, so I had 40 million emails to go through. Well, they're going through the Windows 11 update with our computers at work. We all have laptops, and they're doing it on a rotation, like you sign up to drop your computer off at the end of the day. And so they had it all day yesterday. I said, y'all don't have to worry, because this was Monday after work. I said, y'all don't have to worry, because I won't be here tomorrow. I just take your time. Anyway, they were supposed to leave it on my desk. They didn't. I had to go back downstairs and get it. And I got it, and it was just all jacked up. Like all my presets, my favorites, my shortcuts, they were all gone. I spent all morning just cussing under my breath trying to get my work done. It was just bullshit. And so one of the IT guys had to come up there and fiddle with it, because it was just like not working right. They fixed some of the stuff. Some of it I'm just going to have to go in and fix myself. Just irritating the hell out of me. I don't know what they did to Acrobat. Acrobat's not working at all. They're going to have to look at it tomorrow. I don't know what is wrong with it, but Acrobat is acting like a savage bitch, like it doesn't even know me anymore. So I was having a hell of a time with that. Couldn't get it to do anything for me. So my day went by really fast. I still feel like I got a lot done, even though my computer was definitely not working with me today. It was working against me all day. But so I'm going to go get dark chocolate. My son said, get Hershey's. I said, did she ask for Hershey's? He said, no. I'm just going to go see what they have up here at the store and decide from there. Somebody made a comment on a video in one of my recent walkthrough videos, and I just happened to see it. Now people wonder, because they ask me all the time, oh, you commented on this 7-year-old video. Well, your comments, when I go into YouTube Studio, all the comments pop up no matter how old the video is. If you comment on a 5-year-old video, for me, I can see that. I don't have time to read all the comments, but I try to read what I can. Anyway, somebody commented on one of my recent walkthroughs and said, you can tell she's never dealt with anxiety, because there's no way, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly what it said, but you can tell she's never dealt with anxiety because she can walk through these stores and make these videos and it doesn't bother her at all. And I did answer them. I said, that's not true. I guess it's easy to think that just because you see me doing that I have never dealt with anxiety. So you can feel like, you don't know what it's like to deal with that. And that's not true at all. I certainly do. And I still deal with social anxiety in certain situations. I don't do well at parties, where you have a bunch of extroverts, and I am usually just going to be back in the back somewhere. And if it's at somebody's house and they have a dog or a cat, I'm probably going to be wherever that dog or cat is, and I'm going to be petting them, and I'm not going to be talking to anybody. So yeah, I know what it's like to deal with anxiety. Actually, it was on this road. This was years ago when Glenda the Good Witch and I were still married. I had a full-blown panic attack on this road and had to pull off for about 20 minutes because I felt like I couldn't breathe, and I knew I couldn't drive, and I had to pull off of this road and just sit for about 20 minutes before I felt like I could drive again. And I had never dealt with panic attacks to that degree before, but it was an extremely rough period of time in my life where I was dealing with a lot of stress. I was not happy. Things were just, I felt like I was completely burnt out, and my anxiety was off the charts back then. It got so much worse because everything else in my life was just unraveling. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I felt like I was about to lose my mind, and I had severe anxiety. I had trouble going grocery shopping. I had trouble going into any store. But I would do it because I had to, but I would get in and out of there as quickly as possible. This was before I started doing store walkthroughs, and this was back when my life was very different than it is now. But I do absolutely know what anxiety feels like. My mom has dealt with it her whole life as well. I've mentioned before that, you better stop. I've mentioned before that, when I was a kid and she would go grocery shopping, there were several times that she would just have to leave her cart where it was. Oh, you can't park here anymore. We have the damn, I hate these parking lots. They have taken up all these spots for the stupid ass pickup orders. Where are you going? You are ratchet. Just come on. Hang on a minute. I'm parked between two big old hulking SUVs. I feel very tiny all of a sudden. So no, there were times when I was little and I would go grocery shopping with my mom, and she would have to just leave her cart in the store. Like, she would start to kind of hyperventilate, and I could always kind of tell, like, you could just hear, like, she was not breathing right. And she would just get her pocketbook out of the cart, and she would take me, and there was a bench outside of the store, and sometimes we would sit on that bench, or she would go sit in her car, just like, she just needed to sit for a minute and just kind of, she would force herself to, like, take deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and it would take her a little bit to calm down. And so, damn, that's bright. Okay, so, I never, before that period of time when I had that panic attack on this road out here, I never went through it like that, shopping in a store. Fortunately, I've never had it like that. But I do know what it's like to feel a lot of stress just being inside a public place like that. How did I get over it? Well, I'm not cured. I don't want to talk like there's some kind of magic pill that you can take to make it go away. Sometimes though, and I'm not a therapist or a doctor, this is just for entertainment purposes only. I'm a goober on the internet. Just take what I say with a grain of salt. But I think sometimes we're our own worst enemy when it comes to issues that we deal with. And I do think in the modern times, anxiety and depression are worse than they ever were in previous generations. I think there are a lot of reasons for that, but I think we're isolated. It's hard to describe because we're not completely isolated, but a lot of times we're isolated to the point that when we go into a store, it's just such a shock and it's such a difference from what we're used to that it feels scary. And you know, a supermarket is sensory overload. You have bright lights everywhere. You have music playing usually. There are people who will about run into you with their cart, different smells. You know, it's a sensory overload. And if you're already kind of a sensitive person, if you're a highly sensitive person, which I am, it can be too much, which also contributes to your anxiety. But I think our thoughts get trapped in this loop in our head, or I know they do for me, and that's a big problem that I have. And I know I don't speak for everybody, but I just get this feeling like like if I stumble, like if I'm walking and I trip a little bit, oh, everybody just saw that. Oh, how embarrassing. And then I keep playing that over and over in my mind. Or if I go down an aisle and then I turn around like, oh, everybody's going to think I'm stupid. You get this feeling that everybody is watching you. Everybody's looking at me. Oh, everybody just saw me do that. Because I remember hearing my mom say stuff like that. Oh, people are going to think I'm a bum. Look how I'm dressed. Oh, look at my hair. I can't go to the store. Look at my hair. People are going to think I'm just a nasty bum. Like, Mom, nobody cares what you're wearing. Nobody cares what your hair looks like. They did not go to the store today to critique you. That is not why they are in the store. And I think that's an important thing to remember. That people are not there to look at you. They're not. No one's looking at you. And I know I've said it before, but if you can get that, if you can really understand that, it's liberating and it will do a lot to help with your anxiety. No one cares if you trip over something walking through the parking lot. Nobody cares if you walk halfway to the store and then you remember something and you have to go back to your car. We've all done it. Nobody is sitting in the parking lot waiting for you to show up with a notepad so they can document your movements. Nobody gives a shit what you're doing. Listen to me, they don't care. You know what they're doing? They're on autopilot just like I am, you are, everybody. We're kind of on autopilot. We're kind of, we're thinking about stuff, like, oh, when I got home, I got to do this and this. Tomorrow, I got to do this. I got to run in here really quick and get some bread or whatever. And I'm getting blinded right now by a damn SUV over there. It's really far away, but it has really bright lights. You think about the thoughts that go through your mind. Hell, write them down. Write down the stuff that runs through your mind when you're in a situation that makes you anxious. And leave it for a day and then come back and read those thoughts on that paper. And I want you to stop and think about it objectively. Are these rational thoughts? Are these thoughts true? Are they real? Or is it in my head? And I'm not sitting here saying that your anxiety is in your head. I'm not saying that because people get really touchy when you talk about stuff. I'm not saying it's all in your head, but in a way it kind of is. Because you are doing this to yourself. It's like a perpetual motion machine. It is feeding itself. People around you aren't feeding it. I mean, are people walking up to you going, do you know everybody in this store is looking at you? Again, unless you walk in there in a Big Bird costume, juggling chainsaws, nobody in there is looking at you. I want you to do an exercise with me. Think about the last time you went to a store. I don't care if it was yesterday or 5 minutes ago. Can you describe 5 other people that were in that store other than you? Can you tell me what they were wearing, what they were shopping for? Can you tell me what they were doing? What was in their cart? Can you tell me anything about one other person? Probably not. And you know what? Those people who are in that store couldn't tell me anything about you either, because they weren't paying attention to you. They weren't. Just because somebody looks in your direction doesn't mean they're watching you. I mean, they could be, but probably not. I know for me, a lot of times I'm in a store and I don't do too well about making lists of what I need. So I get in there and I have to try to remember what I need. And usually, if I'm looking at you, I'm not really looking at you. I'm looking down the aisle and I'm going, I know there was something on this aisle that I needed. Shit, what was it? I'll remember when I get home, and I may have a perturbed look on my face, and I may be looking in your general direction. I'm not really looking at you. I'm looking over there, thinking about something, and I'm not really aware of where I'm looking. I try not to do that. I try to concentrate, like, quit looking around. Just, you know, look, just stop. Just stop for a second. Just stop, look down, focus. All right. What was it that we needed? I know there was something, and I think it was on this aisle. Just stop and think. Quit looking all around, because you're making everybody nervous. I do try to do that, but I don't always remember. Hair on me. So, anxiety is a bitch, honey. I know anxiety is a bitch, and I'm not saying that you can cure it, but one thing that helps me, well, I have trouble with misophonia, and one of my triggers is people who shuffle their feet when they walk. So I have in my purse, you have my little purse with me, one thing I will put on, and I'll probably put them in before I go in there, I just have some little cheap earbuds that I got on Amazon for like $30. These little Bluetooth earbuds that I'm too stupid to open. Just these little earbuds. I just stick them in, and I'll take my phone with me, and I'll just turn on some music or something. And I don't hear the shh, 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 shh of people's feet, because that drives me insane. Like, pick up your damn feet. Sound like a damn nursing home patient. And I wanted to say to people, you know, that's one of the first signs of Parkinson's disease, right? You feeling okay? Your memory good? You might want to get that checked out. Yeah. Shuffling gait's one of the first signs of Parkinson's disease. Yeah, my grandfather, both of my grandfathers had that. They did, legitimately. Both of my grandfathers had Parkinson's. And that was one of the first signs, was the fact that they just, like, they couldn't pick their feet up. Anyway, they stopped being able to, like, it was weird. Like, they couldn't pick up their feet when they walked. You can listen to music when you go into the store. That can kind of help. But just when you go into a store, and I know I've said this before, but, you know, I want to say it again for people who have come along who haven't heard me talk about this 100 times before. I want you to go into a store. I don't care what store. And go in, get outside of the door so you're not in the way. And I want you to look around at everybody and make note of what they're doing. Do you know what they're doing? They're shopping. They're in there looking for whatever they came in for. They did not come in to look at you. They did not come in to pay attention to what you're doing. They're not waiting for you. I mean, it's kind of self-centered if you think about it. I mean, if you really think that everybody is in that store, everybody in that store is looking at you, I mean, that seems kind of self-centered, honestly. I mean, you could think about it that way. Like, you're not the central character in a movie. I mean, you're really not. But I know a lot of people kind of think that they're in their own little movie, and maybe you are. Maybe it's the Truman Show, and we're all punking you. I don't know, maybe. Maybe. Sometimes it feels that way, because the life is kind of weird. Like, doesn't feel real. But, no, nobody in there's looking at you. And I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. I want people to understand that anxiety that you feel. I totally get it. And before I started doing all these walkthroughs, I really struggled with it. But that's one of the things I learned. I've done hundreds of walkthrough videos, hundreds of shelf organization videos, and I can tell you from doing that for hours and hours, nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. I will scream it at you. Nobody cares what you're doing. So if you're worried about other people, you don't have to. It is wasted energy to worry about anybody else in that public space, whether you're in a store, a carnival, a concert, I don't care, wherever you are. Maybe you're watching a baseball game. The other people are not there. They did not buy tickets to this event to see you. They came to see whatever's going on. They came to ride the rides or watch the baseball players or listen to somebody sing. Nobody cares about you. And I mean that with all the love that I can give you. I love you, but all these people here, I'm a goober, they're goobers, we're all goobers, and none of us give a shit about what the other person's doing. Now, I will say, though, if I saw you faceplant in the parking lot the way my son did at Walmart last week and he chipped his tooth, if I saw you do that, I would come to try to help you. Now, I would care then, but I'm not watching to judge you. But if I saw you fall, or, if I saw anybody fall, and, look like they needed some help, I would help them instantly. I would, right away, I would just come try to help you. Like, is there anything I can do? But as far as watching you and judging you, no, and other people aren't doing it either. So with all of the love that I can summon and deliver to you today, I want you to know nobody cares. Oh my God, I cannot tell you. Because when I make these videos in stores, people all the time will say, oh my God, everybody's looking at her funny. They're looking at her. They're not. They're fucking not. Damn. I don't know how else to say it. That nobody cares that I'm doing that. People do not look. If anything, if they look at me, it's because I need to move because they're trying to get something. They don't care. Nobody's looking at me. The people working there don't even care. They walk right past me, behind me all the time. They don't care either. Nobody cares. Jesus. And if they don't care about me, they're not going to care about you either. Damn. We're all just goobers walking around on the planet. There's no need to be nervous about any of us. We all stink sometimes. We have to take a shower. We trip over nothing walking down the sidewalk. We laugh at dumb things. We're afraid of stupid things. And everybody has at least one weird thing about them. I'm going to tell you, you hang out with anybody long enough, I don't care how cool they are, everybody has at least one weird thing about them. And if you hang around them long enough, you'll figure out whatever that is. There's at least one thing that they will do or say, and you'll go, you may not even say it out loud, but you're going to go, that's kind of weird. That's weird. What is that about? Everybody has that. Hell, I have it. You have it. Everybody is weird. So don't worry about it. Take your weird ass out. Hold your head up high. Walk in that damn store like you own the place. Because you don't have anything to worry about. Take all that energy that you put into anxiety. Take a deep breath and let that shit go. And again, I'm not saying it's as simple as pushing a button. But you may be holding on to something you don't need to hold on to. And it may be time to let it go. It may not happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight for me. But over the course of months and years of making videos, walking around in stores, it really has come home to me that nobody's worried about what I'm doing. Nobody. I can saunter in there right now and go get my chocolate for my son's teacher and her broken leg. Nobody here will even remember that I was ever here. If I go through a line and a cashier rings me up, I can tell you from being a cashier, they're not going to remember me. Because when I was a cashier, I can't tell you the number of times people came in and came through my line and said, well, bet you're surprised to see me again today. And I would always just kind of laugh because you're kind of obligated. But I'm thinking, I don't know who the hell this person is. Again today, I don't remember ever seeing you in my damn life. I don't remember you coming through here. And also, don't be embarrassed by what you're buying. If you're buying something like tampons or condoms or whatever, the cashier doesn't care. They don't care. They're not judging you. They're not looking. I can't tell you the times I rung up stuff like a guy would come in and he would have to get tampons or something. My first thought was, that's actually really nice of you to do that. That's really sweet. And they would be visibly embarrassed. And I would just try to get them out of there as quickly as possible, because I found that making conversation seemed to make it worse. Even if you weren't talking about the purchase, like they didn't want to talk. But I always thought it was just very cool. So your interpretation of a scenario, I'm just saying, it may not be accurate. You may think that everybody in that store is judging you or laughing at you, or, oh, they're thinking this, oh, they're thinking that. I would be willing to bet you dollars to donuts ain't nobody in there thinking anything about you. Although with inflation, actually, a dollar is worth less than a donut now. So maybe I should say donuts to dollars. Will you quit blinding me? Go on. Sorry, I am in a mood tonight. God. So, you know, you got your lights on. Here, let me blind your punk ass. That's what I thought. Go on. Lord, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a bit of a pissant. Okay, one other thought. I just came back in from the store. You know, nothing happened in there. I went in and got my dark chocolate and a couple other things, and nothing happened. Nobody looked at me. Nobody cared. I want you to do one more thing, too. This is a thought experiment that a therapist gave me, and it's pretty common. It was years ago this therapist told me about it. Okay, this is when I was dealing with panic attacks and stuff. And she said, just play the worst case scenario out in your mind. So say you're in a store. Oh, people are looking at me. People might, okay, what are you thinking? When you are anxious, when you start to feel that anxiety creeping up, tell me what goes through your mind at that point. Just imagine you're there right now. Tell me exactly what is going through your mind right now. What are you thinking? And I said, well, I feel like everybody's looking at me. She said, okay, what's the worst possible thing that could happen if what you are thinking is true? So let's say everybody's looking at you. What's the worst thing that could happen? Well, I don't know. They may think I look weird, or I might trip, or I might do something. Okay, let's assume you do. Let's assume you trip and you do something that you think is silly or stupid or whatever. What's the worst thing that could happen? Well, they might think I'm stupid or something. Okay, let's assume they think you're stupid. What's the worst that could happen? I said, well, I don't know. So she said, so what is it exactly that you're anxious about? I'm just afraid they're going to think that about me. So what if they do? And I want you to say that to yourself. So what? So what? You don't have to say it out loud, but you say that to yourself in your mind. So what? Oh, everybody's looking at me. So what? And just play out the worst possible thing, the worst possible scenario for whatever it is that is making you anxious, whatever thoughts are going through your mind that are making you anxious. Play that out in your mind with the worst case scenario and just see, because it doesn't take long before the whole thing just becomes ridiculous. And you really kind of realize that you're psyching yourself up over nothing. Okay, now back to whatever I was babbling about. So it just irritates me because now, and I'm not talking about you in particular, okay, but I want to just put this out there, call it tough love, if you will, and this is going to be my last thought. And again, I'm not talking to anybody in particular. I am not. Somebody who has dealt with anxiety and severe depression at different times in my life, to the point that it was more extreme than I want to talk about. How do I say this? One thing I have noticed in the last 10 years or so, and I think social media has made it worse, there seems to be, and again, I'm not talking about anybody in particular, there seems to be a bit of a currency to victimhood, where if something's wrong with you, like, you get bonus points for that. So people try to outdo one another. I see it a lot online. I have anxiety. You don't know anxiety. I have super anxiety. No, I have mega anxiety. I have uber anxiety. You know, it's like if you have problems, you get bonus points online for that. And again, I'm not saying that's you. But I know people personally who wear their victimhood like a cloak, and it sort of has become their entire personality to where they really can't even talk about anything else. There's a whole world out there that those people are missing out on because they are so sucked up into themselves. And again, I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but I do know people in my own life who have kind of morphed into this glob of like neuroses or something, to the point that they really don't even have much of a life outside of the house anymore. And I'm just saying, there's a whole world out there for you, and you can get out there and get in it. A lot of what you're afraid of, a lot of what you're anxious about, and again, I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I am not talking about anybody at all. A lot of the stuff that you have built up in your mind, and I've done this myself, a lot of the stuff that you've built up in your mind may just be in your mind. In reality, in objective reality, outside, away from the internet, it's not real. It's not true. It's just not. And you have wasted a lot of energy on nothing. So take some deep breaths and understand that no one gives a rat's ass about what you're doing out in public. Again, unless you're wearing a Big Bird costume, juggling chainsaws, nobody's going to even remember that you were there. And I know that sounds depressing, but it's also very liberating. Go be free. Go be free. I'm going to go be free. Hell, I won't even put in my earbuds. I will just walk in there and get my chocolate and go home. I'll pay for it first. But yeah, I mean, just because I don't talk about it every 5 minutes doesn't mean that I have never dealt with anxiety. You can have issues with anxiety, and you can also recover. You know, you can get to a point where you can actually go out and function in the world. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I never deal with it, but you can go out there and function in the real world, even if you have dealt with anxiety and depression in the past. It doesn't have to define the rest of your life. It doesn't for me. I'm not going to allow it. My mom kind of got to that point where she just decided she didn't want to really go anywhere anymore. She didn't want to do anything anymore and got sucked up into that. And I feel like she's missed out on a lot of life because of it. But that was her choice, not mine. She's a grown-up. She can make her own decisions. Whatever. I refuse to do that. I'm not going to let my toxic thought patterns and cycles take over my life and ruin it. I'm just not going to let it. And I don't want you to either, which is why I keep talking about it occasionally. Don't let it. Just try. Just go out into public. You don't have to stay long. Go in there for like 2 minutes and just come back out. Do whatever is comfortable for you, but push yourself a little bit. It's just like exercise. Push yourself to the point of being uncomfortable. You don't want to hurt yourself, but a little bit of discomfort is not necessarily a bad thing. If you want to change, if you want to grow, if you want to change your mind, you have to be uncomfortable for a little bit. You have to get out of that comfort zone and be uncomfortable. And I push myself beyond my comfort zone all the time. I make myself go to places where I'm uncomfortable just to push myself. And you're the only one who knows what that limit is and what you can do. I don't know. You have to figure it out for yourself. But don't be afraid of these people out here. They're goobers. I'm a goober. You're a goober. We're all goobers. We're all just a bunch of damn goobers. Just think about that. If somebody's looking at you, just think to yourself, what's that goober looking at? And then just go on about your day. Because the only reason you know they're looking at you is because you're looking at them, and they're probably wondering what that goober's looking at. So don't even worry about it. It's just reciprocal. It's just none of it matters anyway. Life is funny, and it's over before you know it. So get out there and enjoy it before it's over. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going in to get my chocolate. And thank you so much for being here. That is a cute skirt. That's a dress. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you again soon.